Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of Thompson Essentials.
Yes.
I bet y'all can't guess the topic for today. So, we got Troy University, Auburn University, and if I could, I'd have Life University represented here today.
We don't have a whole lot of Life University shirts, hats, items right now. We got to rectify that.
Why not? You're an alumni. You should have me covered.
That's a very good point.
Today, we just want to come on and we want to share a few things about family health. Of course, today being back to school, one of the number one topics that a lot of parents really have questions on is focus in the classroom. Being a boy mom and dad, we totally understand. So we were going to just talk about a few things that actually come up and actually help with focusing and getting your kids zoomed in the classroom. So today, one thing I will mention is just being mindful, talking to your kids about it and that, it's normal to feel scattered and unfocused. Let's talk this through. Let's talk about ways that we can get through this and get better in that area of our life. Because the way you work on something is you focus on it and come up with a plan. So here's a few things that I will mention. So we will talk about number one thing is getting your kids outdoors, having them exercise, getting involved in a sport, doing something that actually helps them get that energy out.
Yes.
Just releasing that energy. If you can get them up before the day begins and gets busy and being planned, having your day planned and being on top of that day, just with their nutrition and getting them up for breakfast, that is so key and key effective. Number one, don't wait till the last minute. Drag them out the door with 10 minutes left to walk out the door.
Yeah. Even especially elementary age children, this may sound crazy, but if they're gonna eat a bunch of sugar, a bunch of cereal, those type items, run out the door at the last second, jump in a classroom is supposed to sit completely still for hours on end.
Disaster.
That is asking way too much of a child of that age.
Yeah.
It just is. We're not created to do that. We need to be busy and active. And if you could just squeeze a few minutes and get your children up a little bit earlier, and even if they just walk the driveway,
right,
10, 15 minutes,
right,
20, 30 minutes, whichever, in that range, to burn a little bit of brand new energy after sleep, that probably will help your child. That and not filling them full of sugar. When it comes 8 o'clock in there, it's time to sit down and be still and listen. That would be a huge contributing factor, and it's very cost effective.
Yeah.
Other than cost you that little bit of sleep, it doesn't really cost anything to do that, right? So
right.
It's just the planning ahead of it. It's almost like meal prepping in a way, but now we're energy prepping, I guess you could say.
Well, and there you go. You just said meal prepping. So what you're doing is you're training your kid so that they better have plans of their meals, and that goes on through life. So even whenever you're our age, if you don't plan your meals that week, you're going to fail in your nutrition.
Absolutely.
So it's so important to teach our kids that, even from this big. What are your plans for today? What are we going to eat? But talking about cereal and pancakes and all the things that kids love, and who does it? I love that.
Yeah.
I grew up eating that, but those are not going to be the optimum foods to eat. You want to eat foods that have high protein. So things like boiled eggs or scrambled eggs, oatmeal with, you could add some chia seeds. Kids might not like that. Add a little Kerrygold, a little stevia, maybe even a little honey. And also protein in the yogurt. Don't look at yogurt as it's a bad food.
Our protein powder in the yogurt.
You can mix, yes. You can add that protein into it. If you get a good Greek yogurt, we will link in a list of food in this video toward after we publish it. But the best thing is to get unsweetened Greek yogurt and add your own sweeteners, your own fruit, your own protein powder. That way you can kind of control what is in that yogurt. Because if you get that Yoplait, sugared up, all those really yummy fun ones
basically just kids yogurt, full of all sorts of high fructose corn syrup and the which we need to have a video about ingredients to watch out for.
Yes.
If you see these names, really, for the most part though, if you really have a hard time struggling to pronounce it, or it's not something that's a easy digestible word, then it's probably not for you. It's probably
Stonyfield, for instance, Stonyfield has a great organic unsweetened yogurt, but they also have one that has stevia in it. So the kids love that. My kids grew up doing Stonyfield. I know there's other ones out there now that are good organic yogurt, but at the minimum you want to do a Greek yogurt that has higher protein in that.
Yes.
Those are great. And they're good for us too. Yep. So like I said, we are training our kids to become healthy adults, and we want them to live to 100 so that they can fulfill their purpose.
And even the night before, you could take that yogurt and mix in almond butter. You can mix in honey, different things that are more, to give it a little bit more protein, a little more fat from a good source, and it tastes good.
Well, like overnight oats is what you're speaking to. Overnight oats. Getting in a good overnight oat, adding that Greek yogurt in there.
I knew you'd
that's
finish
an
that.
excellent one. So that is an excellent one, and that would take a little planning. Another great thing to do is have the boiled eggs in the fridge where they can grab their boiled eggs and they can have them already ready and they can just eat them in the morning. That kind of speeds things up. And protein shake. Your kids are never too young for protein shakes. That is an excellent way to get in that. I know our protein powder has like 20 grams of protein in it. So that's the perfect way to start your day. If you can get a hold of a bottle of the good Thompson Essentials protein powder is excellent, excellent. Also, another thing to do is we want to make sure that they're not supplement deficient.
Absolutely.
So important.
Yes.
A good multivitamin is your base vitamin. Everybody needs a good multi-base.
Which we talked about on a prior video.
Right.
And then also, we could use, hope that's not too disturbing to you guys.
They're just releasing their energy.
Yes.
It's okay.
We have
Keep
a dog
going.
barking at a horse.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so essential oils, what could help us there?
Right. So essential oils, there's some great essential oils out there. I'll speak for doTERRA. I love doTERRA. Those are amazing essential oils that are third-party tested, certified therapeutic grade oils. So those are my go-to oils for doTERRA. I would recommend, there is research that shows lavender, which is a very calming oil, and Vegetar, which is a very good calming and like grounding and just helps with overstimulation. Those are great oils. There's also the Focus Blend, which is an excellent blend doTERRA has. And I know there's other companies out there that have some good oils too, like Young Living. Those are really the only two that I'm familiar with that are great. And like I said, I've used doTERRA for over 10 years. So that's my go-to.
Long time.
So those are the oils of choice. Peppermint oil blended with orange helps to get you focused in as well. Those are good to diffuse. During your kids' study time, just adding in a little oil of orange and then peppermint just helps them become awake, alert, and helps them focus in too. So there's a lot of good oils out there for your kids to benefit. Aromatherapy is legit. Like, I know I used to wonder and think, oh gosh, those snake oils, ain't gonna lie. When my kids were babies, I was like, that's a whole series in itself. But
yes, it is.
I literally did not ever use essential oils other than like peppermint oil. Like, I would buy peppermint oil for Scott for his breath because he's always up in everybody's face at work. That was the only reason I ever bought essential oils.
And I'm not an aspartame doing artificial sweetener person, so therefore there's a lot of limitations, but peppermint oil is good for a lot of things, but reversing back to
But that got me focused in with kids in focus, and two of mine really needed to focus in. So we were looking for some alternative things that would not be a drug for them. So we started really researching on those. And then that's a whole story in itself. But we did essential oils and it really made a huge difference in my child's life. And I won't do this whole show on that essential oil transforming my life and my kid's life. But that's kind of what got me in essential oils was focusing issues.
Right.
So
and an episode to come, we'll do just exclusively the essential oils.
Yes.
Well, it'll be hard to do just exclusively. We'll have to kind of narrow it to grouping.
Right.
We'll break it down for you guys in a future episode. If there's a certain thing you'd like to hear about, again, as always, please put your comment there and tell us that. Right. And also, Amy, reversing back here, midday, what's one of the things, ask a rhetorical question to myself, but so you can tell our viewers, one of our children was really, really busybody, had a lot of time trouble sitting still at school. What's one of the things, can you read my thought, that we changed that really, really, really helped that particular child?
Right, we'll touch on that before we go to the supplements that we really highly recommend. But what we did was we really started focusing in on what we put in their lunchbox.
Yes.
They didn't get lunch from the school unless it was an emergency situation.
Yes.
And that's a whole, that's fine if that's where you're at and you're running late. Don't give yourself the guilt trip because you couldn't pack your lunch. I'm not saying do that at all. But what I am saying is if you 80% of the time pack their lunch, you have more control over their nutrition. Because our kids are not with us majority of the day when they're younger. So when they're not with us, they need to have a plan of nutritional value things that they're going to consume. So whatever we're giving them needs to be something that is good for their, obviously, focus since they're at school. and their, gut health and their toxicities. So we want to focus on toxicities, gut health, and focus. Those are all key things to being a great student in the classroom, which is ultimately our goal.
Yes. So that was a huge, I could tell as a dad, when we turned a corner, when 90 some odd or more % of the time, we started packing lunch for the children, instead of them eating whatever was there at lunchroom food. That made a huge, huge difference, especially for one of our three that had a lot of focusing, sitting still, listening, retaining problems. That made a huge difference in his life. It was almost immediate.
Right.
It was very, very noticeable. I mean, it turned the corner. His grades went up. He sat still. Everything got better when we did that. And a lot of times you may have a child too that, like he was, you couldn't just all of a sudden run late, get busy doing something, and then grab that child, run out the door, hurry up, we got to go.
Structure and planning.
Yes, children crave it, and it's good for us to make us more organized and more productive. But some kids are okay with it. A couple of our boys were. One was not. You had to tell him, like, okay, we're going to leave in 10 minutes. We're going to put these color crayons up. We're going to whatever he's doing. We got to stop watching this show, playing this game, whatever it is. And as long as you told him, but if you ever got distracted and got behind yourself, and then everything fell apart, well, it falls apart for him too. So,
well, kids were all created differently and uniquely and perfectly made. So we want to reach them where they're at, but give them a plan and a strong foundation and structure that is going to help develop them into humans and adults one day that are super focused in and doing amazing things. So that's our focus, is to try to help point them in a way that's going to be good.
So Amy, back to talking about lunch boxes. What foods were you thinking about there?
So back to the lunchbox topic. So lunchbox is so important. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that they have some high protein foods in their lunchbox. Of course, some good meat source. You want to get a nitrite-free meat. You wouldn't want to go get some sandwich meat that's full of nitrites. Nitrites is terrible. So want to get some good protein, and then some nut butter, maybe some nut butter. Those are good choices. Nut butter sandwiches, turkey sandwich, turkey roll-ups with cheese. My kids always like to get the turkey and the cheese and roll it up, and then add in some fruit and maybe some Greek yogurt. There's a lot of healthier snacks out there. We'll try to link in a list, and it will be a good food list of things that you can put in your lunchbox that are great choices. But the food preservatives that are all in it, you want to eliminate all your food preservatives, low sugar, natural foods, God-made foods. The best thing to do is I'm going to make a video next, coming up soon. We'll have a video linked in here, and we will take you like we used to take our kids to the grocery store. And we will actually walk through the grocery store, and I will help you see some different options that would be good to pack in that lunchbox. Who knows, maybe I can get baby Joshua to go and help us, because he literally probably at this point knows better about what goes in the lunchbox than I do.
Well, he's lived it.
Because it's been so long.
He grew up in it. He's lived it.
So that's what we'll do. Okay, Joshua is going to go with us to the grocery store. I just volunteered him. He's going to love that. Yep. So, and then supplements. Let's talk about supplements. The thing about supplements is everybody needs a good multivitamin. All your children need to be taking a good multivitamin. That's your base vitamin. Because most of all, people are not going to be cooking whole food and eating, the good nutrients that would be ideal to consume if you were growing your own food and you were doing everything organically and all that we want to do, but maybe we're too busy to do because of our lifestyles, which is completely where we're at in 2025. I mean, I know even my kids are older now, but we stay so busy. It's super hard to get in all the nutrient foods that we need, as well as the way that it's grown. And soon we'll go out to some farms, and we'll show you some correct ways that they're doing some great things with growing healthy organic food or healthy foods in our community. We do got some great local farms and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So what we need to do is make sure we have a good multivitamin base. That is key, essential to having that foundation. If you're not doing anything at all, making sure that your kids are on a good multivitamin is absolutely a necessity. It's not recommended, it's a necessity, because there's no way that we can get the foods into them that they need to consume. So getting that good multivitamin, Thompson Essentials multivitamin is excellent. There's some other great ones out there, but of course we love vitamin essential from Thompson Essentials. And then also making sure they're on a good B complex. That is an excellent thing for a neurotransmitter function, helping with the neurotransmitter functions in their brain. That B is key. Also, another amazing supplement, we definitely don't want to forget this, is the omegas. Those omegas are so good for their brain health, as well as helping them with their focus and their memory and their behaviors. It helps to just kind of calm them. But those are good. The omegas are so good for our kids. So in omegas and iron. Iron is one of the key things that a lot of kids are missing because they're not getting it in their diet. So if your kid has low ferritin, they're not able to store that iron that they need. But don't just guess about iron, because you don't want your kid taking iron if they don't need it.
Well, how would you know?
Well, so we recommend doing some nutrient testing. Dr.
Yes.
Scott, you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. Well, there's a nutrient testing profile from your lab work that tells you where you're deficient and what your needs are, versus just kind of scattered like a shotgun effect, just throw something at something and hope it works out. And a lot of times people will ask me at the office, they'll be like, well, Dr. Scott, what supplements do you take? And I'll go to our supplement area and I'll show them. But the point is, whatever I might need or your 9-year-old needs,
Right.
or whomever needs, might not always be the same. And in fact, oftentimes it isn't, because there are baselines, right? But there also are whatever your blood work shows you.
And just
what
because
you
your
need.
little Timmy who's 9 years old takes it and such milligrams, your little Johnny might be 10 years old. He don't
Right.
need what little Timmy needs. So what you want to do is just make sure you're giving the exact correct amount, because that iron is so important to make
Right.
sure that
So
iron level.
that kind of pulls you into the lab work and functional medicine side of things, which is something that we offer. And it also is something that, like, well, I live 3 states away from you.
Mhm.
That's okay. You can do it virtually as well. And obviously your lab work is done in your local community. And then the results we'll discuss and share with you. And then that'll dictate what you need and what you don't need. Therefore, you're not taking things that you don't need and paying for them, and you don't need to pay for them, because
Right.
they're not helping your particular issue in the first place. And also, which this is a whole other topic, but you could need gut health things as well. But then you also could have different deficiencies that need to be healed within your body also. Typically, that's kind of a rule of thumb. When you get gut health in order, and then you start honing in on different deficiencies, these things provided to you by lab work, of course, then
Right.
your body starts to heal. And then that's really the kind of the core basis of health in general in the first place, is that you're taking things based upon what your blood work says you need over the course of weeks, a few months, to where your body heals itself, because you gave it what it needed to heal itself. And then you can take those things and drop them off, because it was a process of healing. And then you're back to just baseline things that you need every day, just essentials. So,
Right.
but without that blood work, you don't really know dosage wise. You don't know what someone needs actual product wise. So that really makes it a very fine-tuned, fine-knit thing that tells us what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's don't forget zinc. Zinc is so important in
Yes.
improving hyperactivity and impulsiveness. Zinc is key for those. And also, let's totally not forget one of your favorite supplements. Guess what it is? So, and another great thing is magnesium.
Yes.
Let's don't forget that. That's your favorite.
That is my favorite, magnesium. In roundabout, guys, how much do I take of that? Generalization, 5 milligrams per pound of body weight. And some people might say, well, golly, I need, exactly. We typically need, in my opinion, a lot more than we probably think we do.
Mm-hmm.
So that pushes me up close to 1,000 milligrams a day. It doesn't affect me in that way, but oftentimes most people, Amy could probably vouch for this, and for children, this probably would be beneficial as well, but nighttime can
Right.
really help sleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. You want to definitely, if you're going to take your magnesium, do that in the nighttime.
Right.
That'd be the best
Right.
time of the day to take it. And then also, there's 2 types of magnesium.
Yep.
One is called glycinate.
Yes.
So that is actually the one that actually causes the calming effect. So that you would want to make sure that one was taken at nighttime for sure.
Right.
I learned the hard way on that, just saying. But that is a super great magnesium. You want to make sure you're getting that one in. If you're just taking magnesium citrate, that one is literally for constipation. So if your kid has constipation, of course, get them adjusted, work on their nutrition, and magnesium citrate. So
Yes.
that is a really good one. But most people take the glycinate because it is the best one. We just love that one. And like he was saying, he took, how many milligrams do you take? You take 1,000?
close.
He takes a
900.
lot. Yeah, and I had a friend yesterday, and she was like, how much should I be taking? I've been taking, it was like 200 milligrams, and I was like,
Yeah, it's not enough.
that is not enough. No wonder you aren't getting the effects of the magnesium. But magnesium has so many great benefits. I mean, it helps you with your sleep. It helps calm your nervous system. It just helps everything just kind of chill. I need that. I always need help with just chilling, right?
No, you fall asleep pretty easy.
Well, I mean,
From that regard.
yes.
No.
But, and then another great thing is vitamin D. Most people are not, their vitamin D levels are low. So we want to make sure you test your vitamin D. That's another, increasing your vitamin D levels. And that is key for mood as well as attention problems. So making sure that you're taking those vitamin D, that D3 is best. And also one more supplement that was really good, but we don't want to forget is the L-theanine. That is actually found in, guess what? My favorite, green tea. I love green tea, but that is found in green tea. But that might not be enough for you. So like I was saying earlier, testing and knowing if you're deficient in that area. But it's always a good idea to add some green tea to your diet because it's got that L-theanine in it. It's really good. And a few more things that we'll talk about today is protein, like we were saying, getting in that protein. Make sure your kids are having a high intake of protein, low amounts of sugar. Sugar is the enemy for focus. You can't go in the classroom and chill and focus in on sugar. So protein, I can't say that enough, giving your kids enough protein. And structure and organization. Being super structured and organized is not a gift or a skill set for me. I will be honest. My kids have helped me develop that a little bit more, but they have very organized, structured lives, and they're very good about staying on task with their things, just because we have had to focus on those things harder to teach them, because that's a weakness for me. Your kids, that's the goal anyway, is for your kids to do better at things that you struggle with, right? So I'm super grateful. My kids are really planners, and they got their schedules and staying in structure and order with their daily activities and their schoolwork, and just keeping notes and lots of ways that they write down, and they keep up with all the things that they need to be doing for school. And minimum distractions. So this is so good. Like, yes. I know I catch the kids with earphones. I don't even own a pair of earphones, but they will put, and this is good, listen in. They put earphones in their ears, turn on their little, I don't know, whatever. One of mine listens to Beethoven. The other one, he probably listens to country music or something. I don't know. But they put music in their ears while they're focusing, or they put earphones in that cancels out the sound. So they're not distracted. There's no outside sound coming in. I mean, it just kind of like their controlled environment of focus. So they do that. I catch them with their earphones in, and they'll be like, I'm like, you didn't even hear me. Oh, they were studying, because they're always studying something, especially in college. So, and declutter. Create a decluttered atmosphere for your kids is so important. If you don't have an office setting at home, which most of us don't, we're full. Our house has always been full with kids.
Yes.
But just having an area that they go that is set up just for it's like empty, clean area where they can go and focus, even if it's their breakfast table. But wherever that area is, it needs to be completely decluttered. So there's no distractions, like with lots of just things around where it just kind of messes up their focus. But that decluttered atmosphere is so important. I can't say that enough. And then just color coding is really good. Color coding things for your kids. That really helps them with their focus. You can do that with highlighters. You can do that with little stickers, folders. Do everything kind of organized with different colors. Red might be their history stuff, or blue might be their science stuff. But everything just kind of color coded with the folders and the little tabs you can get, highlighters that match each subject. Just being intentional about organization is so important. And then talking with your kids, ask them questions. You can't communicate too much with your kids. So you want to make sure, like, whatever areas that they're feeling, I guess, pressured in, or like that maybe they don't feel excellence in that area, that you are building them up with positivity. So even if it's like just communicating and having that conversation over the dinner table, I know we all get super busy. I know dinner table conversations are so important in our house. Now we don't get them very often. We actually had them this weekend. It was so nice to have my kids home at the dinner table. But when they were younger, that was something that we did. Now, it might not always been me and Scott at the table because he might have been working late. But we would have a dinner table conversations and talk about, hey, what were your wins for today? Like, what happened good in your day? Like, tell me about that. And then being real. What was your areas that you could have improved on, that you felt like, hey, like this just was hard? Like, talking about those hard things is so important. We want to not ignore hard things, especially with mental health and kids. That is a real struggle for kids, and we don't want to ignore that, do we? We want to talk about them. No. So, and and
try to be intentional about, even, two kind of ways of looking at things. I'm going to always pick and look at even a good situation and always find some kind of way to pull out some sort of negative something.
Right.
Yeah, that happened, but this was terrible. Versus being the other way around and try to teach your children at a young age to do that. Like, maybe something didn't go their way at school that day. Maybe they're struggling with math. They can't stand math, whatever the case may be. But you find a way to turn that into a positive and something good that happened that day, and harp on that.
Yeah.
Right. The same thing when you're trying to teach or correct them. You don't want to say, you stink, you did terrible at this, before you do any kind of teaching or correcting or redirecting like that.
Building them with praise before correction.
First. Find 2 or 3 good things they did and talk about that first, and then talk about the other if necessary after the fact. That's always just constructive.
Right. If I come to you every time I have something to say to you, and it's always like, hey, you're terrible at this. Hey, you could have done better at this. Hey, oh my gosh, your room's a mess. Your this is a mess. Like, constantly nagging them about like what they have that are weak areas that they're stinking at. So we don't want to do that. Like, we don't want to do that. We want to be intentional about praising them in their strong strengths.
Right.
As that's what we're here to do, is to correct our kids and raise them up in a way that when they get old, they won't depart. So we want them to be able to pour into their generation coming up, their families. And I'll say, this weekend we had our son's first wedding shower, and it was super fun. But a takeaway for me was this. Like, I've always kind of talked about focus and being positive and tried my best, and we all have weak areas, but I always want to build my kids up and tell them the good, as well as pointing out the things that they can improve on, but from a way that is, positive. So, but I was reminded this weekend at the shower, one of the cousins or whatever, she brought in a jar, which I thought was the most special gift. The jar, she gave them a jar and some little notes to go in it. And she wanted them to, like, every day write something good that happened in their day, and as they're starting their new married life. But we can do this when your kids are this little. Like, get them, even if you have to help them write it out, like, what was good in your day, little Johnny? Let's write that down, and then put it in there. So writing down things you're grateful for, praising, like things that you are giving praise for, and focusing on those things, and then just filling a jar up. It can be just like anything. I mean, you can probably get a little mason jar and do it. But
it's very difficult to be grateful and unhappy at the same time.
That's good.
It is very difficult.
That's good.
Right? So,
right.
So many things in our life are praiseworthy of the Lord.
Absolutely. So always focus on being positive and building up the kids. But you always do want to help them in their weak areas and not ignore them. Like, you do not want to ignore them. You want to help strengthen them in those weak areas. And they grow from that. So just like when we go through challenges in life, guess what we do? Growth seasons create what? They create a better outcome. So while we're growing, we're getting stronger in things. So that is a way we can start off, though, too, with our kids, is just talking them through and just kind of going over the things that they can actually work on. And then when they actually achieve those things, then it's a huge win, because it gives them that confidence that they need to move forward and do the great things that God's called them to do and be. Yep. Today, we just thank you for being on here.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to the next episode. If you have any comments or questions, we might not have the answer.
Or an upcoming topic you want to hear about.
We will get you the answer.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we look forward to seeing y'all in the next episode. See you soon.